So I wanted to go over my 10 plus favorite or best, greatest albums in my collection. And it's hard to get down to just 10, even though I could narrow it down to the top 10. There's so many that are in there that just kind of land a little bit above the top 10. So I want to go ahead, I'll try to move through them fairly quick, but I'm going to start with number 25. Number 25 on my list is George Michael, Listen Without Prejudice. And this is a great album. I was able to pick it up at Breakaway Records in Austin, Texas on a road trip. George Michael just has amazing vocals on this album. The songs are really good. It's kind of post-disco, it's kind of pop soul for that. I mean, my favorite tracks on this are Praying for Time, Freedom, which is kind of a dance song. But it's just a great album in general. Cowboys and Angels is probably my favorite track off of this. So this is a great album in my collection, number 25. Number 24 is an old school album, a long time ago. This is actually a re-release. It's Elvis Costello, this year's model, so number 24 for me. Interesting thing, this is a repress. I had it originally when it first came out, and then I picked it up somehow. I lost that one and got a repress of it. But Elvis Costello is the first artist in his album, not this one, but Armed Forces, to have a UPC barcode on it in the United States. But this album is a great album. It has No Action, Pump It Up, Little Triggers, and I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea. So a classic new wave post-punk album that just hooked me with Elvis Costello, and I've been a huge fan ever since, seen him a couple of times. He's been really terrific. So number 24 is Elvis Costello, this year's model. Number 23 is just probably the most amazing guitar player I've seen in concert before. It is Gary Clark Jr., Black and Blue. I mean, it starts out for a solo debut album. It is just amazing. It has When My Train Pulls In, Black and Blue, of course, Bright Lights, which is just amazing. This album is what got me hooked on Gary Clark Jr., his first album out. I've seen him 5 times now, and I've seen a lot of great guitar players, Eric Clapton, to just a lot of great guitar players, and he is hands down the best live guitar player I've ever seen. So if you have a chance to check out Black and Blue, Gary Clark Jr., number 23 in my greatest albums that I have. My favorite band, Better Than Ezra, their album Deluxe is number 22 for me, and it has a couple of their hits on there, which is good. And then also In the Blood is on here, but Cry in the Sun is a really good song off this. Teenager, and of course my all-time favorite song by them, Porcelain. So Better Than Ezra Deluxe, number 22. I'm just a huge Better Than Ezra fan, so that's why they landed in my top 25. Number 21 is a newer album that just came out a couple of years back, and this album gets more play in my rotation than any other album, at least in the last year and a half probably, but is the Black Pumas, Black Pumas. It's just a modern twist on old school soul. It's just a great album. I can't recommend this enough, so that's why it falls just out of the top 20 for me of all my records, which is number 21, Black Pumas. So, and now counting down the top 20 albums, this is just a compilation album. It is a greatest hits by Blondie. They are just, in my opinion, the best new wave punk, pop, post-punk group there is. I've seen them in concert one time, and they were very, very good. Saw them here in Kansas City. But this album just has, obviously, it's a compilation and it's all the hits, but it's, Heart of Glass, Dreaming, Tide is High, One Way or Another, Rapture, which is kind of a rap song, really in front of their time back then. But Ripper to Shreds is on it, and of course, probably my favorite song by Blondie is Sunday Girl. So coming in at number 20 is the best of Blondie's, just greatest hits. An album that I had on CD, and then I finally got it on vinyl, and I was just thrilled when I got it. And this is number 19. I put it on, and I listened to it, and I just go, every time after I listen to it, I'm like, I can't believe this is such a great album. It's just, all the songs on here kind of have this same vibe and feeling to them, but it's Snow Patrol, Eyes Open. All of them, they have this sound that, again, no one else has a sound like them at all. And number 19 is, again, Snow Patrol, Eyes Open. I mean, has their big hits on it. You're All I Have, Hands Open, Chasing Cars, which was a huge hit for them. But this is just, I play it, it's a 2-album set, and it's just great all the way through. And after it plays through, I'm like, man, that's just such a great album. So ranking it number 19 is Snow Patrol, Eyes Open. Now, a lot of people could say that there are other albums that are favorites by theirs of this artist, but number 18 is Bob Seger, Stranger in Town. I know a lot of people like Night Moves better, but I really just like Stranger in Town. Main reason is it's got We've Got Tonight on it, an awesome ballad by Bob Seger. Just a great song, but it's got, on here, Hollywood Nights, Still the Same, of course, Old Time Rock and Roll from the movie, Tom Cruise, Ain't Got No Money, We've Got Tonight. Just Brave Strangers is a great song also. So, but number 18, again, Bob Seger, Stranger in Town. Another solo artist, has a band, but solo artist. I think this is my favorite album by him, but Bruce Springsteen, Tunnel of Love. The songwriting on this is just, in my opinion, amazing. He's just, everything hit on this album, at least for me. I think this is my favorite album by him. That's why it comes in at number 17 in my collection. But it has All That Heaven Will Allow, Brilliant Disguise, and the classic One Step Up. Again, Bruce Springsteen, number 17, Tunnel of Love. I didn't even mention the title track off of that one. That's a great song also. This one here, a little out of place for me probably, but Adele's 21. It's hard to deny that her vocals are amazing, has 6 Grammys for this album, so it's just an amazing album. The vocals are great, the songwriting, this is an album for me that when artists catch lightning in a bottle, and everything is just great for them on that. The whole album through and through is great. One thing I would say is if you're not in for a 30-40 minute session listening to this album, it's all love songs. So if you're not in the mood to listen to love songs, this is probably not the album to put on. But again, Adele 21 comes in at number 16. Just a fabulous album. Little out of place for me in regards to what I usually listen to, but it's a great album, so that's why it falls into number 16 in my collection of records. So getting top 15 albums of this, and this is just a classic in my opinion. This is their debut breakout album, but Heart, Dreamboat Annie. This album has guitar licks, amazing vocals, it has hits on it, and where else can you find 3 versions of the title song on an album? And then it also has lyrics or liner notes about the song that aren't in the 3 versions of Dreamboat Annie. But this is just a great rock album. The vocals are just amazing. Ann Wilson's vocals are, and Nancy Wilson's guitars are just great on this. This is a classic album. Again, fits into number 15 on my collection. So, saw this guy on this tour. He's probably 2 years into this tour. He's since passed away, but Tom Petty, number 14. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Damn the Torpedoes. This is just a great album. It's got hits on it. Again, this wasn't his debut album, but it was just an album that all the hits started to come out. Don't Do Me Like That, What Are You Doing in My Life, Louisiana Rain, Refugee, Here Comes My Girl. It's just a great album through and through. So if you ever get a chance to see the documentary of with Jimmy Iovine making this album, It's really interesting and entertaining. I would suggest highly watching that. But again, Tom Petty, all-time favorite of mine, and this album comes in at number 14 in my collection. So a repress of this album, got to see Temple of the Dog in New York when they had a reunion tour, which is surviving members of Soundgarden and Pearl Jam. It was a tribute to Andy Wood of Mother Love Bone by Chris Cornell. This comes in at number 13. This is just an amazing rock album all the way through. Temple of the Dog, again, the members of Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. The writings on this, the songs are just amazing. Another lightning in a bottle album. Just, it all came together and they all put it out. But it's a side project for these two bands, and it would have been amazing if these two bands could have become Temple of the Dog. What would they have put out? But again, they both stand on their own. Soundgarden is a tremendous band, and same with Pearl Jam. I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan, but this album is again why it's number 13 in my collection. Say Hello to Heaven, Reach Down, Hunger Strikes, which is a great song. So I was extremely excited, and it didn't disappoint of being able to see their reunion tour when they came back together to play. So it was tremendous. Temple of the Dog, number 13 in my collection. There's a lot of albums that I could have picked from this band, but number 12, Queen, The Game, is my favorite album by them. Again, they've got so many albums, and they're all so good. But this one, to me, has a little of everything of all their style on it. That's why it came in at number 12. It's got a little bit of disco with like Another One Bites the Dust. It has an operatic kind of version of Play the Game. It has, some of the keyboards and some of the things that are on it. They got fast rock on here, which is like Rocket, and Sail Away, which is kind of their version of soul. But this has all their styles on it to me, and had a couple of really big hits. But if you like Queen, this is a must-have album for me. Number 12 in my list, Queen and The Game. Number 11, this is just, in my opinion, an amazing album. Just, again, I can't say enough about this album. I've seen this band in concert, and I didn't like them in concert at all. I've seen them a couple times, and really, I just didn't like them. But this album is so good. Counting Crows, August and Everything After, number 11 on my list. This is another one, I hate to say it again, but lightning in a bottle. Every song is just great. The lyrics are really good. The sound it's deep, it's cool. It's just all these little things that add up to be where it takes you to another place. You start listening to it, and the music and the lyrics just transforms you and puts you in another place. And you start, Perfect Blue Buildings, Anna Begins, Time and Time Again. It just, all these songs just transpire and put you in another place, in my opinion. This is an amazing album. Again, lands in number 11 in my collection. Counting Crows, August and Everything After. So, start looking at, this is the top 10. And when I started looking at top 10, sometimes I've left out some albums in here that are in my collection. I mean, I got to looking back, I didn't put the Cars in there. I didn't put any Pink Floyd in there. I didn't put Kiss, which is, I'm a huge Kiss fan. I could have easily put in there Destroyer off of Kiss. There's just a bunch of albums that could have been in this, but I didn't. And I started looking at my top 10. What are albums that get most of the rotation for me? And then if I had somebody over and I'd be like, hey, you want to listen to an album, and they're a casual music fan, and I can put it on, they'll be like, wow, that's a really good album, But also look at what the background is of it, and all the things that go into. So these are the top 10 in my collection that I like the most. Boston. This is just an amazing album through and through. Every song is great. It's one of the best rock and roll albums, in my opinion, ever recorded. Number 10, Boston. They had a sound that nobody could duplicate, nor do they even try to duplicate. When this a song from them comes on, you go, that's Boston. It's great. The slow songs, the fast songs are just great on this album. So number 10, Boston, Boston. Rock album is just their debut album that just came out and was just amazing. It was Van Halen, Van Halen. There's not a bad song on it. You know, he really got me. Re-recorded that. It's great. Jamie's Crying, which is a hit off of it. My favorite probably Ain't Talking About Love. And of course, you know, the standard that Eddie Van Halen set for every other guitar player, which was Eruption. So just an amazing rock album that's started their career. And again, Van Halen lands at number 9 in my collection. So compilations, and you look at it, it's hard to not say, well, this is just a great album. It's a compilation of greatest hits. But the Eagles, their greatest hits, number 8, it is just their songs and the writing, the lyrics, the musicianship, everything about this album is the greatest of what they did. So, I mean, the songwriting, Lying Eyes, which again, it takes you to another place, Peaceful Easy Feeling, Best of My Love, and their version after that came back around to be a hit later, which was Desperado, that was first done by Linda Ronstadt and made a hit. But the Eagles, their greatest hits, number 8 on my favorite or best albums in my collection. One of my all-time favorite bands, if not the favorite band, is Pearl Jam. 10, number 7 on the list. The songs on this album are so good that they still play every song in concert at some point. When they have a concert set, they play about 30-some songs, and they play at least 5 to 6 songs off of this album every time. My favorite, which is probably one of the greatest rock ballad songs in my opinion ever, which is Black, is off of this album, and another favorite is Garden off of this. So, you know, I've got this on the original press, the redo of 10, and then I had to go out and get the 10 Target exclusive, which is a purple vinyl. Again, Pearl Jam 10 is number 7 on my greatest albums in my collection. Could have picked a lot of different ones out of it, but Rolling Stones, this is the one that came down to me for it, which is number 6, which is Some Girls. That's just loaded with hits, and maybe it's because I was into the Stones when this album came out, and it was on the radio, and that's maybe why it stuck with me as much as it. Tattoo You could have easily been in it, and or Steel Wheels, which is a really great album. I mean, I know they've got so many albums, but for me, Some Girls is it. It's got Miss You, Imagination, you know, Beast of Burden, Some Girls, and of course, my favorite off of this one is Faraway Eyes, which is their kind of stab at a country song. And anybody knows me, I'm not necessarily a country fan, but I sure love this song, and I sure love the album of this. Again, Rolling Stones, Some Girls is number 6 on my list. And a band that has a lot of albums that I could have picked, but U2's A Chung Baby is number 5. It plays to me just, again, like a greatest hits, even though it's not. They had multiple songs on here that were big hits for them back in the day. The Fly, Mysterious Ways, my favorite, which is Zoo Station, even better than The Real Thing, and of course their huge popular hit, One. So A Chung Baby comes in at number 5 on U2 for my best favorite albums. This is a compilation album, and I've kind of talked about it before, that if you're going to buy one album, go out and get this one, and you'll have everything solved with this band to some extent. But this is just, when I pull it out, an album, I always want to play it. I want to play something for somebody. This is it. The Beatles, 67 through 70. You know, it's number 4. You know, it's 2 albums, it's 28 songs. You know, it's the later greatest hits of probably the best pop rock band there ever was, which is the Beatles. Undeniably, they were great. You know, when you have the worst album on this song is Octopus's Garden, when you say that's the worst song on the album, obviously everything's great. So on this album here, let's see the songs that are on here. I mean, Strawberry Fields, Sgt. Pepper, Little Help from My Friends, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, A Day in the Life was just amazing. I mean, it's just, again, it's the greatest hits album. It just falls into what is number 4 of my favorite albums in my collection. Number 3 is an amazing artist, no longer with us. I never got to see him in concert, and I really wish I would have been able to. That's the one concert regret that I haven't been able to do, and see Prince, Purple Rain. This is just an amazing rock, disco, experimental album. It has, I mean, it's so good. They made a movie in it, you know, so it's just great guitars, great lyrics. I mean, this is why it's number 3 in my deal. It's one of the greatest albums ever recorded, in my opinion. So, I mean, Let's Go Crazy and When Doves Cry is on this. It's just, again, Prince's Purple Rain is number 3 in the countdown of my top albums. So, being a hard rock guy, it was really easy to put this in there, but Led Zeppelin 4 is number 2 on my best albums in my collection and one of my favorites. It, again, is just like a greatest hits album. I mean, from Black Dog to Rock and Roll, you know, Going to California, When the Levee Breaks, the drums on When the Levee Breaks, how the intro into it is just, I mean, it's amazing. Just, I mean, this is a great rock album. And of course, it has the pinnacle of all rock songs, which is Stairway to Heaven on it. So, can't say enough about this. If you're going to go out and buy one album from Led Zeppelin, this has to be it. So it comes in at number 2 in my collection of most rotated on the turntable. So the number 1 album in my collection that gets probably more airplay or time on the turntable than any at all, Fleetwood Mac Rumors. Now, this is an album that, you know, 20 years ago, there was tons of them in the bins at record stores. And now, whenever one comes in, it is the first to go out. They get premium top dollar for used albums of this. This is a, again, not a repress on it. I've had this one for a long, long time, but it's like a greatest hits also. You know, the only song that's probably a little out of place on this is Oh Daddy by Christine McVie. It's a little odd into this mix, but this is just, again, it's like a greatest hits album. And it's a tribute to, if you take care of your records and play them right and take care of them, then an album will last long. I've probably played this hundreds of times, and it's still in great shape. And I'm really glad to have it. If it wasn't in great shape, I'd have to have gone out and bought it again. It's such a good album. But again, they get top dollar in the bins for these when it comes in. And even, you know, when they repress it and put it out, it's they did an outtakes one here on Record Store Day a while back. But number 1 in my album collection is Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. I appreciate you tuning in, taking time to look at what the albums are in my collection. Again, there's a lot that probably didn't make it into the top 25, and if I had to go back and reshuffle the top 25, there'd probably be a lot that wouldn't be in, and there'd be some others that are, but the top 10 were pretty solid. That's pretty much set for me. Again, I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks a lot. This is Tracy. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, so we're out doing normal folk stuff, going to the Royals game in Kansas City. First time out to a sporting event or anything outside with a lot of people. Gonna chill in and check it out, see what the seating is.
Soler.